Welcome back. My guest today is Michael Wilkerson, a strategic advisor and investor, and author of the book Why America Matters, The Case for a New Exceptionalism. He's also the founder of Stonewall Advisors. Welcome. Mike, let's start off with, what's the difference between something like Bitcoins versus central bank digital currency?
Well, let's start off by saying Bitcoin and other crypto were developed really coming out of the financial crisis because there was a great concern about the safety and soundness of the financial system. You talked on your opening about the move to a cashless society. Well, that's been going on for a long time. Even before the pandemic, we had gone between 2009 to 2019 down to only 26% of transactions being in cash, even lower after the pandemic. But crypto was created to avoid some of these issues. It was created, Bitcoin in particular, as anti-inflationary hard money. The idea that fiat currencies, the dollar and otherwise, were on the printing presses were running hot, and that over time that was going to create inflation. And there was concern about the power that the government and the banks would have. And crypto became a way to try to address some of these issues. The question becomes who wins and who loses in a crypto
private
world,
sector bypass around the government, really.
That's right. In other words, if governments couldn't be trusted, if banks couldn't be trusted, what is money? It's a unit of account, it's a medium of exchange, and a store of value. If the government couldn't be trusted to not hyperinflate the money, if banks couldn't be trusted, if you talked about the risks of banks today, then there would need to be some new way, some decentralized way. So these ideas that crypto would be stateless, trustless, permissionless, you didn't need to go to a bank to ask for anything, decentralized. These are great privacy features for the individual, but they scare governments and banks, by the way, who risk losing the billions and billions of dollars of transaction and other fees that they earn in the world today. The idea behind CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, is really very clearly in order for government to keep control, using a new technology that has all sorts of applications, turn the ideas of crypto on their head, the ideas that are really, in a sense, libertarian, and to ensure that government can maintain control. Now, there's a catch here. Not only do they still issue CBDCs, it's still US dollar backed, so you're still facing all the inflationary risks that you do with the dollar. But interestingly, because of the way transactions are recorded in a digital world, government will see everything. So they will know every transaction that you and I make.
Total lack of privacy.
Lack of privacy. Now you have that to some degree with the banks, but let me tell you, when the government has it, it's one small step to implementing a social credit score based on ESG, environmental, social, governance, other means, whatever the agenda of the ruling party, the regime might be. They can influence your behavior by manipulating how you're allocated those social credit scores, and even
the concept of a social credit score is terrifying. It means it's not based on how fast I repay my debts. It's based on how I drive my car or what I buy and what fuels I buy. I want you to listen to what one
Did you know, Dick, that that's already happening with the banks?
Yeah, I said that. The Federal Reserve Board is doing that as a pilot. I want to have you hear what one young investor said digital currency means for getting money from the government through Social Security, veterans benefits, or any kind of transfer like that.
Then you're going to have to adopt the central bank digital currency and its platform and abide by all the rules and all the spending requirements, all the savings limits. You're going to have to abide by every single rule that they set forth.
So it really is a mechanism for control, and it transcends any threat to freedom we've ever thought about. All of the stuff we've been worried about Twitter and the FBI and privacy and records and all of that, pales by comparison to this. This will enable the banks, the government, to control every single thing you do. So what's the answer? To pull out of the financial system? Is that practical? How can you do that as a citizen?
It's not practical. As we mentioned, even before CBDCs, we were going to a digital world What we have to do now is citizens have to push back. We need, not that this is sufficient, but it's necessary that we have laws that would say any kind of CBDC, there's restrictions on use to ensure privacy, restrictions on flow of information. You're absolutely right that the government sees this as a way to be able to make, for example, all kinds of entitlement payments, a basic universal basic income. So you can't put technology back in the box, but you can regulate it. You can say, look, these are ways that it has to be restricted. What we've seen from the Twitter files and all sorts of other examples of history is that those rules aren't honored by the intelligence agencies and otherwise. So something more fundamental has to change. Yes, we need those privacy laws and regulations to be put on the books, but we need a new world, one in which the agencies themselves respect them.
It's kind of like, I mean, they can put some code of conduct in there, some privacy legislation, but you're right, they ride roughshod over it. I want to ask you this question. I've heard about some companies that say, give me your gold, and I'll, in effect, treat it as a balance in your checking account and let you draw on it with a special credit card that I'll give you. What do you think of that?
What I think about is what gives you privacy? Well, cash, gold, crypto, things like that. And the government doesn't like any of them. They're trying to move away from cash. They confiscated gold here in the US in 1934 under FDR. And we talked about this heavy new regulation going after the crypto industry in early 2023. So I think that any way that Americans can find ways to protect their money, to keep it outside of the power of the big banks. We saw what happened in Canada with the Canadian truckers. Don't think that can't happen here. So it's really important that Americans understand, not your cash, not your gold, not your crypto, then it's not your money. You have to protect yourself from confiscation.
Well, Michael, I'm out of time, but I want to thank you very much for, like I said, you're the Paul Revere alerting us to what's coming up the road, and it is absolutely terrifying. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Dick. Great to be with
you. Still come accusations from CNN that daylight savings time is unfair to minorities, not the rest of us, minorities. Don't hit the snooze button. I'll be right back with this time-sensitive story next.